Well, hey guys, I thought I would make a new video of how to make homemade fins. This is a template of a longboard fin that I got from a customer who dropped off a board for ding repair. I thought he had a pretty bitchin' fin in his board, so traced it out on some wood and was saving it for a rainy day. So this was the time. This is the time to make some new fins. This is a Bonzer fin I made on the right. I didn't really like the color, so I'm gonna redo it. But I'm marking off a couple sections to see, kind of how wide of a panel I should make for these fins. And I'm using 6-ounce fiberglass here. I think I got about 20 layers here. Ended up needing to do another 20 and it was still not quite thick enough. So I'd recommend probably 50 layers of 6-ounce fiberglass for a longboard fin box. That's laminating resin I poured, and this is some orange tint, I think, or pigment, orange pigment, because it's translucent. I use like a cheesecloth strainer just to make sure there's no lumps of color when I pour it out. So obviously you got to catalyze the resin. I don't know why I didn't put that in the video, but if you watch my other videos, MEKP mixes with polyester resin as a catalyst to harden it. So the ratios of how much to use, I'll put in a link in the description. Yeah, kick open the garage door after you finish using that resin. It gets pretty smelly. You got some leftover resin in the pot. I always like to not pour it out, but keep it until it hardens. That way I can just knock it out and use the pot again. Keeps it clean and kind of tidy. So yeah, so where I'm realizing I probably should have used more layers of cloth. I think I got about 20 here. I ended up, doubling that up and doing about 40. So these are 3 fins I actually wanted to make copies of. The middle's a Bonzer. The right's kind of like a long rake, traditional kind of almost style fin. And the one that I made kind of focused on in this video is this one that I'm cutting out here. It's like a kind of a nose rider style fin, I guess you could say. And I always wanted one, but man, they're expensive. They're like 100 some bucks. So I was like, man, I'll just make one. Why not make a video in case anyone else was wanting to know that you could make fins at home? It's really not hard. So anyway, I got my project motorcycle in the back. It's a 1978 XL 125. And anyone knows about electrical systems on those bikes, shoot me a message. I would love to pick your brain. So this is the Bonzer fin, but where I'm pointing to is kind of where you're going to want to make that the thickest point in the fin. So yeah, the thickest part's going to be, about an inch behind the front of the fin, and you're going to foil out the back to be real nice and thin. There's some complicated hydrodynamics that I couldn't explain to you that go into that, but I'm just taking everyone else's word for it, as you should take mine, I guess. So here's the bottom of a future fin. I'm just showing this to kind of demonstrate what we're going to do on our fins. We want to keep the bottom square so it can fit into the fin box nice and snug. So I'm gonna draw a line on the fin to kind of show where I don't want to sand past when I'm foiling out the fin. That's the part again that's going to go into the fin box itself. And then I thought it'd be helpful to kind of demonstrate where the kind of apex or the thickest part of the fin would be, which is that blue line there. So yeah, let's get to it. I'm using a hard sanding pad here with about 60 grit sandpaper. That seems to do a good job. Not gumming up, since this is laminating resin. 60 grit does a good job just sanding right through it. So here you can see the different layers of fiberglass that I've sanded through, and then I'm checking the front and the back to make sure I haven't sanded too far on one side. I want to keep it even. Ooh, there's a little flat spot there. Ended up working that out later. But yeah, so far looking so good. And back to sanding. I edited a good bit of this out, man. It's just monotonous, but this is the part that's going to take you the longest. Is just taking your time, making sure you don't stick in one spot too long with the sander and make uneven spots. I mean, you can see that even on that fin, like there's some spots where I probably sanded too far. I'm by no means a professional fin maker. I mean, there are people that specialize in doing that. There's a buddy of mine lives down the street, and he specializes in making fins. So here I am setting the fin in the box, making sure that it fits. By the way, the guy that makes fins, BK Rudders from Makaha, I think. I always say Makaha, maybe not. He's from Hawaii, though. Here's the hardware I'm going to use in the fins. This drill bit is, I forget what size. I'll go down in the shop and then I'll put it in the video so you can know what size to use. It's actually a little too small. I had to use this hammer and go to town on the cotter pin because that hole was not quite big enough. So here I am I'm just tapping it through. Didn't come out great, but it'll work. Same size drill bit. I'm drilling through this fin tab. This is where the other part of the hardware goes to secure the fin into the box. And I knocked my camera off the tripod when the drill bit went through. There it goes. So testing it out, make sure the hardware fits through. Sure enough, it does, but that fin tab is just a little thick. There's not enough room for the securing backing to bite into it. So I sanded or cut off a little bit of that. It's probably, I don't know, what do you think, a 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch. And then using the Dremel to bring that back down. Just want to make sure that's nice and flush. Want it to look nice. So this was funny. I put it outside to spray it down with a hose, and then I actually realized there was a rat had crawled into my Home Depot bucket and was stuck in there. I was definitely surprised to see my little buddy in there. He couldn't get out. I don't know how he got in, but I helped him out. Got him out. I was gonna let him go. I was gonna let him obviously outside of my garage, but then as you can see here, he's a Houdini rat. He escaped. Got loose. He ran back behind the boards and I couldn't find him. So he's still with me. I call him the guard rat now. Keeps my shop safe. All right, back to the fin. Spray it off. Just want to get all that dust off, and I use some compressed air to dry it off here. And I'm setting up the hardware. So this is the backing plate that I was talking about that goes down into the groove of the fin box, and then the screw goes through the fin and then down into that channel and locks into that backing plate and secures the fin in place. So that's looking good. Anyway, that's the finished product. Hopefully this was helpful, and hopefully you guys found my commentary helpful and not annoying. Let me know in the comments, and let me know if you decide to take on the project. You.